Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today, as of me filming this, it's June and it's the end of June, which means my buying ban is over. So I survived 1 year without buying a single book. I can't believe I've done this. So let's talk about it. Last year I did a video where I counted all of my books and was quite shocked by the number of books I had and the number of unread books I had as well. After I discovered that number, I decided I was going to go on a year-long buying ban where I would not buy any books, and for that year I would try and read as many of the books as I could from my shelf. My numbers were as follows last year at the end of June. So last year at the end of June I had 323 read books on my shelves and 232 unread books on my shelves, which are palindromes of each other, and that went to a grand total of 555 books in my collection, which was very even and very satisfying. I just finished counting right now, and I've actually got a spreadsheet which helps me not have to count physically every single time. But I now own 590 books. I have 365 read books on my shelves and 225 unread books on my shelf. And a side note is that this number does not count my Kindle. I don't count my Kindle reads. I'm not ready to tackle that yet, so we're just focusing on my main shelves. You may be wondering, Olivia, last year was your most prosperous reading year that you've ever had. How comes your numbers have grown and have not changed that much? So I'm going to give you a couple reasons why my numbers are not as amazing as I wish they could have been. So the first thing is that I still get books. You see my hauls, I still haul in quite a few books. As a book blogger, bookstagrammer and booktuber, I do receive review copies from publishers who very kindly send them to me to review, and that means I'm still getting books in. Also, Christmas and my birthday happens, and to navigate my buying ban for my Christmas and birthday I did ask for bookish presents, and some of you were also kind enough to send me bookish presents, so I did still receive books. I also tend to look at people who are unhauling books, and sometimes they are kind enough to just give me the books that they don't want for free. I really have a bookish problem. Then why my read books number and count is not higher than would have been expected, seeing as I have been reading the books on my shelves, is because I've become quite a fan of unhauling. I recently unhauled all of the books that I rated 2 stars or less on my shelves, excepting one which I want to give a second chance. So if I don't like a book, I just unhaul it, and I've gotten into a habit of, if I read a book and I don't particularly like it and it's mine, I just put it straight into a pile of books I want to unhaul, and I just gradually do like huge unhauls of getting rid of books that I don't particularly like. Which means even if I read a lot of books, it doesn't mean all of them stay on my read shelves, because they just get passed on or given away or donated when I don't enjoy them. There's no time or space on my shelves because I only have one shelf for a read book that I did not enjoy. I also got a little bit distracted because I went to Australia last year for my year abroad. While I was in Australia, I did not bring that many of my books. I think I brought like 10 or something, and I came back with way too many. There's a haul of those books that I came back with. But I did only bring a few books, and my plan was to go to Australia and to use the library that I would have over there and just borrow books from my shelf, which was why I created the spreadsheet in the first place. I had a list of my own unread books, and I was going to borrow those unread books and then read them while I was abroad, so I was still reading from my shelves. That plan did not work because I went to the library and I looked at all the beautiful manga and poetry and Australian literature that I don't usually have access to, and I went and read as much of it as I could. I read as much manga, graphic novels, poetry collections and Australian literature as I possibly could while I was over there, and that means I didn't read the books that were on my shelf. Oops. That totally ruined this plan of year-long buying ban, read my own shelves. And last but not least, there's ebooks. I do read quite a few ebooks, and while I was abroad, ebooks was something that really helped me through the fact that I needed to either be with my library, or when I went on my 40 days travel, where all of those travel vlogs you're seeing still come from, I was reading a lot of ebooks, and that really helped me to just keep reading while not carrying a lot, because we were traveling for 40 days with 2 bags each. So when I was 6 months in, I did make a video about how I stuck to my buying ban, what I was doing to help me stick to it, and some tips and tricks if you want to go on a long-term buying ban, but what I've mostly learned from this experience is that there are more books in this world than I can possibly read, even though I do try my very best, and I'm just learning to be okay with that. I do keep making my list, I do keep writing them all down, and who knows how many I'm ever going to really truly get to, but that's just a thing. I've also realised how much I've missed buying books, and I do want to start buying books again, but I want to do it feasibly because I really do want to read those books that I have myself on my shelves, and I want to tackle my TBR once and for all. My goal is to kind of get my TBR down to 60 books. I feel like in the months where I'm more into reading and I'm not slumping out like I'm doing this month, I typically read anywhere between 10 to 20 books a month. And you know, if there's 60 books on my TBR, that's like 3 months ahead, and I feel like that's just a really comfortable number. I don't feel like I want to have like no books on my TBR, because then I feel like I'll just go crazy with the buying. So yeah, 60 books is what I'm aiming for my TBR to be at, but right now it's at 225, which is not 60. So my plan looking forwards is this. I am going to focus on reading the books on my shelves, do my very best to not read ebooks because that's not helping. Tackling my Kindle is just going to have to happen another time, not right now. Let's focus on the books I bought and have physically. So I'm going to be focusing on really trying to read my best from my shelves and to just read what I own, but at the same time I'm going to do one thing with my book buying. So what happens often is when someone comes off of a buying ban, they just buy all of the books. Don't blame them. Definitely understand. So I'm limiting myself to, at least for the rest of 2020 at the very least, to only buy 2 books a month. That's all I can buy. Maybe I'll receive more, maybe I won't, but 2 books a month, Olivia, that's all you buying. I am going to do this with 1 book I'm going to buy is a book I've already read and really want to own, and 1 book is a book that I have not read and I also want to own. Ideally, it'd be a series book. I want to finish some of these series that I've started or only have the first book in, so I feel like I'll probably be buying a lot of sequels, but we'll see how that goes. And the reason why I want to buy 1 book a month that I've already read, it means that it can go straight onto my read shelves, and there's only 1 book that I bought myself that's being added to my TBR. So the red book comes from when I was using the library. I read a lot of amazing books that I would love to add to my collection that are new favourites for me, and I feel like it'd be really nice if I could just find a lovely edition of it and then buy it and have it on my shelves, and I've read it and it's part of my collection because my bookshelves are a book collection. I enjoy collecting and owning books. Yes, that's me, that's what I enjoy. So I'm going to try and get the ones that I really, really loved and highly rated. Ideally in the future I could just be reading books from my library and only buying them once I know I love them, but I've got to get through my TBR to reach that level. So yeah, that's my buying intention. There's only going to be 4 exceptions to the rule of buying 2 books a month, and that's because of university. I'm doing a dissertation, which I'll talk about more in another video once I organise myself a little bit more and figure out how I want to talk about it. But for that I do need to get a lot of reading material, and I like to own my reading material for university because I like to tab, I like to underline, I like to just have it with me for whenever I write my essays. So for my dissertation I'm going to have my self-made reading list and I'm going to buy those books. I'm also doing a creative writing project, which is for the creative writing side of my degree, and it kind of works like a dissertation where you write whatever you want to write, and it's like a year-long project with the word count and all of that. So for that I have an idea, need to get it approved, and I'll have my own reading list for that one, which I need to buy the books for. I'll also have 2 modules which they haven't told me what they are yet, even though they usually do. I think it's because they're trying to figure out how learning is going to go with the pandemic and how learning is going with the pandemic. So for those 2 modules I will have a reading list of books I need to read and need to get, and I'll have to haul those in. So accepting books I'm going to buy for university, this is my goal. Hold me accountable. I have announced it, and I think I'm just going to make it a thing on my channel where every year I count and tally up the books and see where I get. So this time next year, June, you'll see another video where again I've counted all of my books, and hopefully you'll see that I have more read books on my shelves and less unread books on my shelf. So that is all for this video. Please let me know in the comment section down below, do you count how many books are on your shelves? Do you have a large TBR? Do you have a small TBR? Does your TBR stress you out or bother you? Let me know, let's discuss. And yeah, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video, and you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!